of his IPL side. And we will, if the IPL happens in September, October, November, rather, we will welcome him back in India with open arms, and someone who we will face when we travel down under for the bilateral series. Most importantly, he is now a sensation on the internet, on TikTok, on Twitter, for all of the stuff that he and his wife Candice have given us in the last few months. Welcome, David Warner. How have you been, and where have you picked up all these Bollywood moves?
Thank you very much, Boria. That's a kind introduction from you. Look, it's been obviously unprecedented times for a lot of people around the world, and I know in your state of Kolkata you had I think it was a hurricane or a typhoon, and that's the last thing that you want to come through during this pandemic. So thoughts and prayers go out to the people there that were affected, and every single other person that's affected around the world, Australia and India, by this pandemic. It's been challenging, so we've had to sort of think out the box, and for me it was about trying to put smiles on people's faces, and through TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, me and my family have been able to do that.
Absolutely, you have been able to do that. But tell me, I mean, it is one thing to be able to think out of the box, but the other to be able to master Bollywood moves like that. Are you watching Bollywood films regularly, or Indian films regularly, or South Indian, Hyderabadi films regularly? How have you done this?
Look, to be honest, what is there? Bollywood, Collywood, Tollywood, you name it. There's a lot of things out there, and we sort of put like something out there to the fans and ask, what is there that we could sort of replicate and try and dance to, and we had a lot of requests, and the first one was Buddha Bomber, and we got tipped off to do one of those ones, and we were able to do that, and from there it just went bananas, and everyone put requests in, and we tried to do as many as we can, and it's fun. We really enjoy it, and I'll tell you one thing, I'm glad I'm a cricket player, because those moves are incredibly fast and difficult and time-consuming. They are amazing at what they do.
Absolutely. And aren't we glad seeing you and Candice and the family, most importantly the girls, in such a happy space, most importantly a healthy space. Coming back to what you do best, David, from what we understand, based on the statements coming out of Cricket Australia, there seems to be a possibility now that Australia might not want to host the T20 World Cup because of the pandemic, and it might get postponed. That's what we are hearing from our sources, and that actually might open up a window for the IPL. Now, if that happens, will you, one of the stars of the IPL, will you come to India and want to play the IPL September, October?
Look, there's been a lot of talk about the World Cup being postponed, and the challenges around getting every single nation that participates in the World Cup into Australia, given the fact that we have the quarantine for 14 days. But nevertheless, it's about making sure that we're restricting the chances of COVID outbreaking back into Australia. So those restrictions are in place at the moment with the Australian government, and we have to obviously abide by those rules, and obviously the decision we await from the ICC. And if it is unlikely that the World Cup can't go ahead, I'm definitely sure and positive that we'll be able to come and play in the IPL if that replaces the World Cup schedule, and if that permits us from CA giving us the go ahead to go over there. And I'm sure that we will put our hand up to come over and play cricket and do what we love. Because at the end of the day, we want to get back on the park, but making sure that we're doing that in a safe environment as well. And I'm sure that the Indian government and the BCCI will be putting perfect parameters in place to ensure the players' safety, the staff that's work at the venue safety, everyone that's involved safety, whether or not there's crowds or no crowds. I'm sure what the BCCI will be doing everything they can to try and get this off the ground and all the players into one safe place, and ensuring, as I said, the safety of the players and the people who are in and around what goes on with the IPL.
Absolutely. In fact, Saurav Ganguly, David, has already written an internal letter to all the state associations in India, telling them that they are very keen. I've had conversations with the BCCI president, and I can tell you that they are very keen to do it. They are monitoring the situation, and they've already said they'll go ahead with empty grounds if they do, and obviously it will be a biosafety environment. Are you here speaking for only for yourself, or can I sort of take this as you are also in touch with colleagues in the Australian team? Is there a kind of consensus? May I sort of push you a little bit more, that will Australian players who are stars, you, Steve Smith, Gleb Maxwell, Patrick Cummins, all of y'all do we sort of, can we hope that all of y'all will come and play the IPL? Obviously, if the Cricket Australia establishment gives you a clearance, we will hope most of you will come.
Yeah, look, most definitely all the players that have been selected and picked in the auction will put their hand up if we are permitted to. So one, we have to get government clearance as well if we're allowed to travel. And then if Cricket Australia allow us to go over there and participate, I'm sure the guys will definitely be on board with that, to be back up and running and playing cricket again. Obviously, what will happen is that there is obviously a World Cup that was planned. There's probably no international cricket that would have been able to be scheduled anyway. So if they can reschedule and put the IPL in place, the other thing we have to think about is obviously state cricket starts here in Australia. That's another thing Cricket Australia will have to consider. But I'm sure if we're given the opportunity to go over and play, I'm most certain that the guys will go over there and play.
Okay. David, if I can ask you a bit of a personal question. I mean, you have had a tumultuous 1.5, 2 years, but you have come out as this serious role model. I mean, you are a source of inspiration, whether as a family man, whether as a husband, as a father, as a cricketer, coming back in the way you have for your own team, the national team, and the way you are now sort of trying to give people happiness as well. Can you tell me what serves as an inspiration for you? Is it Candice? Is it the family? What is your source of inspiration?
Yeah, my inspiration is always going to be my family. The people that are close to me, the people that I spend most of my time with, or nearly all my time with, mean a lot to me. So, for me, it's about representing them, but representing every single person that I'm involved with. Your character reflects on the people that you hang around and who you work for. So, for me, it's about trying to do, the best thing I can do, be the best person I can be. And I draw on that inspiration from, as I said, those close to me.
Okay. David, in about 2.5 weeks time, we will see West Indies take on England in what will be a resumption of international cricket, test match cricket. There have been some new rules in place, no saliva, sweat, etc., etc. Your first thoughts on these new rules that have been put together by the ICC?
Yeah, look, it's a bizarre one. We're in a position where it's new to everyone and foreign to everyone. Like, we have no idea what behind sort of the, if you can't put saliva on the ball and shine it, there's probably new methods of why you might not be able to ever use saliva again. There's obviously these parameters that are put in place for the health reasons of the players, and obviously, as we said, we've got to abide by those laws. And it's interesting. It's going to be different, that's for sure. Whether or not down the track there's a designated ball shiner, and only one person can shine the ball. It's weird. Like, from my point of view, if you can't put saliva in the ball, but you throw the ball or you bowl the ball, you catch the ball, you throw it back to that person, you got more sweat on your palms than anything. So from my point of view, I'm not educated in that sort of sector, but for me it just seems a little bit silly that if you can't use saliva but you can catch the ball and have sweaty hands and all that, it's weird. But it's good to see them putting something in place that can negate the chances of actually spreading that.
And your thoughts on this this COVID substitute, I mean the medical substitute that has been put in place. I'll put it to you in a different way. I mean, for example, I am assuming that all of the players who are using the same dressing room, who are using the same bus, same toilet, each one of them have been tested, they are safe. That is why they are playing together. So if you are safe, there is no reason why you can't use saliva. So there are these little gaps there. Having said that, I'm delighted that at least international cricket is resuming. Your thoughts on these COVID substitutes, not so much in T20 or one-day cricket, but rather in test match cricket, this impact of this new rule?
Yeah, look, I haven't really read too much into it, to be honest. I've literally just been at home doing nothing, and I only heard of this the other day, and it's one that you're going to have to process, and some of the measures that they're putting in place we just have to adhere to. Yet again, you did mention all those things about the dressing rooms and sharing and this and that, but I think what they're trying to do is trying to alleviate the chances of this spreading, and if the chances of it actually someone contracting it, they're trying to put parameters in place, which I think is a great initiative. They've got to try something, and to do that and what they're putting in place, I think is a good thing. But I think just in general with the world, there's a lot of grey areas with everything. Even here in Australia at the moment, there's a lot of grey areas with a lot of things that the government are in different stages. People can do certain things, you can't do certain things. Gyms are open, restaurants are open, but only, if you can hold 50 people, you can only have a certain amount of people in there with the space ratio. They're putting the parameters in place for a reason, and I think it's just great to adhere by them and do our best to keep those distances at bay.
Absolutely. Coming to you, you just said you are still at home, and you've been at home. We've seen on social media in the conversations that we've had. Have you given yourself a time frame? When is David Warner picking his bat, going out to the Sydney Cricket Ground and starting to train again? Have you guys got a training plan in place, a regime in place? Have you put plans in place as a team?
I haven't even thought ahead to next week. I'm playing tennis tomorrow with Steve Smith and a couple of other guys from New South Wales Cricket. So at the moment, lots of weights, lots of running. Golf and tennis is on our minds. Cricket, until we know what's happening, it's very hard to sort of train for that. I'm not a person who likes to pick up the bat early. If I'm playing in 3 months' time, I'd like to probably have 4 weeks leading into that. So I'd hit for probably 3-4 times a week leading into that game. That's how I do prepare. So at this point in time, I haven't picked up a cricket bat for, I don't know. I mean, in having a hit in the nets, I haven't had a hit since South Africa. Sorry, not South Africa, since I played New Zealand here, the last one-day game. That's the last time I picked up a bat and played competitive cricket. So if it's so be it, comes to September and that's when that's the first hit that we have in the game, then that's what it is. But we have to wait and see.
The all-new India Today mobile app. Get quick and short news flashes. Watch TV news channels live. Read stories without data connection. Personalize your feed and notifications. Watch a bulletin of your favorite journalist. Lighter and faster. India Today mobile app. Want the latest news on business, stock market, Sensex, personal finance, industry and more? Want an insight into the dealings of the top companies in India? Want live news TV channels, in-depth market analysis, business videos and more latest business information on the go? Then just download Business Today app. Business Today app from India's #1 business news magazine. International cricketer and newest sensation on social media, David Warner. Ready for a comeback. IPL, India, Australia and more. eConclave Inspiration Series. Saturday 10:30 p.m. Sunday 11:30 and 6:30 p.m. Watch live on India Today and India Today app.
So sorry. यानी आसमान में उड़ता था जो बादलों के पीछे, आज आया है ड्रैगन जमीन पे नीचे। ड्रैगन जमीन पर रह के भी आसमान में उड़ता है। मेरा नाम है चिन चिन चू। किस खेत का मूली है तू? यानी तुम्हारे जैसे ड्रैगन फ्लाई हमारे यहाँ उस मूली के खेत पर उड़ते हैं और हम उन पर दवा स्प्रे करते हैं। शेर सिंह, ये लो दूर।
Thing that is now pretty much on, and fingers crossed nothing will happen in Australia to stop it anymore, is the India series. I mean, the whole world will be waiting to watch that particular series, India v Australia. The last time we beat you in Australia, but that was without David Warner, without Steve Smith. Your thoughts on that massive Indian summer coming up in Australia?
Look, it's going to be really, really exciting and great for cricket. To have Australia play India again in Australia, and after this pandemic, it'll be brilliant. It'll be very, very surreal if there's no crowds. We know what it's like to play with no crowds against New Zealand. So, hopefully that there is fans that can come out and watch. I know it's going to be obviously seen globally by millions and millions of people, and it's a much anticipated return to Australia for India. And look, I'm excited to be to be selected and to get the opportunity to be part of that. As you said before, we missed out on an opportunity to play against India last time. But for me, watching from afar, our guys didn't play bad at all. We were just beaten by a better team. The bowlers were relentless. The bowling that series was immaculate. The guys did not leave the line of length, and it looked like you had a few of the boys' measures, but yet again, our guys, when we bowled really well. It was just key moments in the games that you lose that can turn the whole game. So, I felt that, the momentum shifted when Australia played in the WACA over in Perth, Optus Stadium, and we sort of got better there. But yet again, we had to try and regroup, and India were just too good. But obviously it's a different ball game. This time it's another year and a half, 2 years on. The boys would have prepared much more. They'll do some research a bit more on where the Indian bowlers are going to try and target the dismissals, and also our bowlers will be looking at more areas to try and obviously try and take wickets against the Indian batting side, which I think in world cricket's up there with one of the best lineups that there is. You got great defence, you got great attacking options, and the bowling depth is incredible too. So it's going to be a very, very, very good contest. I know we're really looking forward to it, and I know the Indian fans and supporters are can't wait for this much anticipated series.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, each one of us in India, and here we've got 1 billion, we will all be glued to our television sets. For some of us media, if we are allowed to travel, we will. So each one of us are waiting for that much anticipated series, David. But while it's India, Australia, it is at one level Steve Smith versus Virat Kohli. It is at another level David Warner versus Rohit Sharma. We loved your Instagram banter with Rohit, but also talk about these individual battles. David Warner versus Jasprit Bumrah, Virat Kohli versus Steve Smith. How do you look at these battles?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, you can compare players as much as you like, but at the end of the day, it's how good that player is on that day, and that's what counts. And, I know myself, I thrive on the crowd. I thrive on, people sort of going at me on the field. I thrive on all that kind of stuff and getting into that battle. I think Virat's quite similar. If you go a little bit at Virat, he comes out harder with the bat, and he plays amazing. We've seen it time and time again. There's no point of actually trying to poke the bear, because at the end of the day, if you do that, it just fires that person up even more. And that's what I try to do myself to get me going, is exactly that. So, in comparison with him and Smithy, look, they're obviously two of the best batters in the world across all three formats. And it's going to be a great battle between, them two, if that's what people are anticipating. And for us, it's about Australia versus India. We don't look at individual battles. If it is individual, it's bowler versus batter, and key areas to try and dismiss that batter. And at the end of the day, we have to do our research well. We know our line and lengths that we have to bowl here in Australia. use our conditions right, and hopefully, the contest is great between bat and ball, and it's a great spirit of cricket series as well.
Two questions, David, on that. One, you mentioned that the crowd gets you going. I was delighted to hear from your Prime Minister that from 3rd of September, 25% crowd will be allowed in stadiums of 40 and under, which means 10,000 people can get into a cricket stadium. Now, if that is being said in June, chances are 2 months down the line, if Australia has control over the virus like it is, there might be even more people. So for the first time since this COVID pandemic ban, we might even see about 10,000-15,000 people watching the test matches. Now that will make world cricket that much more exciting, with some thousand fans at least. Your thoughts on that? And the second question is, for the first time you will have a pink ball test between India and Australia. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, that's fantastic that we can have 25% of the crowd. I think it's under 40,000, which is a bit different to the MCG holding 100. But I think at the end of the day, it's just exciting to see sport on TV back up again here with the rugby league and people being able to go to the games. And as you said, at the end of the day, we're trying to restrict this virus and the outbreak again of the second wave. So first and foremost, that's what matters, controlling that. But when it comes to obviously cricket, and if we're able to have that crowd, it'll be fantastic to have people at the game. Obviously, there'll be a lot of biosecurity measures put in place, and just to have people watching will be fantastic. And on that pink ball, it's exciting. It's going to be great. I think it's very different when you're playing pink ball in different countries. I saw, a couple of years back in a Ranji Trophy, they tried it, or it might have been like an East versus West or something. Game with the pink ball in India, and it swung around like crazy. But I think the difference is here in Australia is that, they've worked harder on the ball to keep the ball sort of harder for longer. The balls that we played with last year were great. They held up well. In the past, they've split. They've gone real soft, but I think the wickets that they produce are fantastic because it's great contest between bat and ball. And there's been a lot of talk about a lot of wickets fall at night, but I think what people don't realise is that at the end of your sort of, when it comes to the end of the day, between 80 and 90 overs, if the team's bowled well and they take 4 wickets in the last sort of 2 hours of the game, and you get 3-4 quick early wickets, it doesn't necessarily mean there's a lot of wickets that fall at night. It's just the fact that that's how the game pans out. You can get some luck. And I think it's one of those things where people just assume that it's the best time to bowl. I also think sometimes it could be the best time to bat. The ball probably does a little bit too much. I know the game against New Zealand, the first one we ever played, wow, that swung and seemed like crazy. And it was great cricket. It was entertaining. Same thing that happened against England. It was windy for, I think, the first 2 days. The ball didn't swing at all. And then I think day 3, at night time, it was quite humid and there was no wind at all, and the ball swung around like crazy, and it was a completely different wicket. So they're the variables that you have with the day-night game, okay. And I think it's great for bat and ball. And as I said, your team, India and Australia, I think the bowling attacks are superb, and it's going to be awesome to watch.
David, my final question, and I'm delighted. I've got to say I'm delighted that I'm able to ask this question. You are back as skipper. You are back as skipper of the Sunrisers Hyderabad, and I'm delighted for that. Thoughts on that? I'm pretty sure you are in touch with your team. So if the IPL does happen, and chances are it will, given the current scenario, if everything goes well, we will see David Warner back on the park, captaining his team after a hiatus. Thoughts on that as my closing question?
Yeah, look, I'm extremely grateful to take the reins back again, and that's obviously a decision made by the franchise owners, and I think obviously talking to the coach and the people underneath as well. It's great to have that respect and have that opportunity once again. I know I had a good conversation with Kane prior to him taking over when I had that break, and I thank him for doing that, and obviously Boovie as well for their outstanding efforts. And we had a great leadership under both of them last year, with Kane missing a few games. but I'm really excited to lead the guys again. We're a big family franchise. It doesn't matter who leads, we're all leaders. And I've said that numerous times when I was previously in charge. And I know Kane and Boobie were sending the same message last year. We are one big family. We're a great franchise. We're led by the most humble family that I've met. And I can call them family because that's exactly who they are, and their values are incredible. And I'm just blessed and grateful to be a part of the Sunrise family. And look, it's going to be great if we can get back on the park and get over there and play. It's going to be exciting. And look, obviously we've got to beat this pandemic and make sure we flatten this curve as much as we can, and try and get out there as fast as we can as well to put smiles on people's faces and give everyone what they want in regards to playing the game of cricket.
Fantastic. On that note, I mean, you've just said exactly what needs to be said. I mean, you've got to put smiles back on people's faces, flatten the curve. I'm sure we will. No pandemic ever has been able to beat human civilization. And we are seeing sport back. We are seeing football back. European leagues have already started. England, West Indies will start cricket. And I'm pretty sure with all going well, we will see the IPL. We will see David Warner in India captaining. And we will also see the India Tour of Australia, which I can't wait for. David, till that time, when I see you in India for the IPL and I come over to Australia to watch and celebrate that test series, you please keep entertaining us on social media. Learn more Bollywood, keep more dancing tricks up your sleeve, entertain us, but most importantly, stay healthy, stay safe, stay happy. And thank you very much for joining me on Inspiration.
The all-new India Today mobile app. Get quick and short news flashes. Watch TV news channels live. Read stories without data connection. Personalize your feed and notifications. Watch a bulletin of your favorite journalist. Lighter and faster. India Today mobile app. There is no debate on who has the